Entry log galactic date 7249.3 recording officer Junior Zookeeper Krix-Tix subject first day observations extremely dangerous species section. Look, I know nobody reads these logs except for quarterly audits, but I need to document this for my own sanity. When I graduated top of my class in xenobiology at the Central Galactic University, I expected my first assignment would involve something sensible. Maybe the six-headed singing flowers from Proxima b, or those adorable exploding puffballs from the Carina Nebula. Instead, I got assigned to the extremely dangerous species section. And not just any exhibit they gave me, the humans. The first red flag should have been the warning signs. Most exhibits have your standard please do not touch or maintain safe distance notifications. The human exhibit. It looks like someone had a mental breakdown while writing the safety protocols. Please do not feed the humans. Make direct eye contact with the humans. Give the humans any objects that could be classified as tools. Tell the humans the current stardate. Discuss mathematics, physics, or engineering within hearing range of the humans. Leave any containers, devices, or materials within reach of the humans. Think too hard about why we need all these warning signs about the humans. And at the bottom, in what appears to be hastily scrawled text, seriously, they figure things out. My predecessor, Senior Zookeeper Blocksnacks, gave me a 10-second briefing before leaving for early retirement. All she said was, don't let it fool you with jokes. And whatever you do, don't tell it your name. It already knows too much. Then she twitched, handed me her keycard, and practically ran to the teleporter pad. The human in our care specimen designation H789 is called Dave from accounting by the staff. Nobody knows why. According to his file, he was picked up during a routine survey of Earth when his car took a wrong turn and somehow ended up in the pickup zone. The report notes that he seemed more annoyed than surprised by the abduction. My first face-to-face meeting with Dave was unsettling. He was sitting in his habitat, which is designed to replicate a typical Earth office environment, complete with a desk, computer disconnected from any networks, obviously, and one of those rolling chairs that humans are so fond of. Oh hey, he said, not looking up from a Rubik's Cube we definitely didn't give him. You must be the new keeper. Coffee machine's broken again, by the way. I put in a maintenance request last week, but you know how bureaucracy is. Even in space. I checked the records. We've never had a coffee machine in the human exhibit. We've never had a maintenance request system for the humans. I don't even know what coffee is. He solved the cube and finally looked at me. So Krix-Tix, right? Don't worry, I saw your name tag. Welcome to the zoo. Quick question, is it true that the Voraxian flame beasts in Section C are actually vegetarian? I hadn't told him my name. My name tag was in Galactic Standard, which no human should be able to read. And the Voraxian flame beast dietary preferences are classified information. I'm starting to understand all those warning signs. End log. Addendum security has been notified about the unauthorized Rubik's Cube. Upon inspection of the habitat, the cube was nowhere to be found. Dave claims he must have misplaced it somewhere, he said this, while solving another Rubik's Cube that also definitely wasn't there before. Secondary addendum, please approve my request for hazard pay. Entry log galactic date 7249.4 recording officer Junior Zookeeper Krix-Tix subject incident report field trip disaster. I would like to formally request a transfer to the carnivorous plant department. I'll take my chances with the acid-spitting flowers. At least they're predictable. Today started normally enough. We had a scheduled visit from the Galactic Youth Education Program standard field trip stuff. 20 precious little ones from various species, all excited to see the galaxy's most dangerous creatures. Their teacher, Professor Yix-Yax, seemed competent. She had them all wearing safety tethers and neural dampeners to prevent telepathic contamination. The first sign of trouble came when little Zoop Zoop, a metamorphian child, started asking questions about the human exhibit. Why does it look so squishy? How come it only has 2 arms? Is it true they eat rocks for breakfast? Dave, naturally, took this as an invitation to start performing. He began doing something he called thumb magic, which sent the children into fits of giggles. I tried to hurry them along, but Professor Yix-Yax insisted they were learning valuable xenobiological observations. That's when it happened. Zoop Zoop, demonstrating the poor judgment typical of their species' larval stage, reached into their snack pouch and pulled out a quantum crunch bar. Before anyone could stop them, they had somehow slipped it through the molecular barrier we definitely need to update. "Here, Mr. Human. You look hungry." 3 things happened in rapid succession. 1. Dave caught the candy bar with disturbing precision. 2. I noticed the wrapper was made of metallic quantum folded material. 3. Dave's eyes lit up in a way that made me deeply uncomfortable. "Why, thank you, young friend," he said, carefully unwrapping the bar. "You know, on Earth it's customary to share treats with everyone." By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. He had already separated the wrapper into perfectly equal pieces and was showing the children how to fold them into throwing stars. The paperclip holding the wrapper together somehow became a lockpick. I immediately triggered the security protocols, but Dave had anticipated this. He had spent months carefully observing the guard rotation patterns. "How do I know this?" He announced it to everyone while casually picking the supposedly unpickable quantum lock on his habitat door. You see, kids, the fascinating thing about security systems is that they're designed by people or beings who think they've considered every possibility. But they never account for human boredom. Did you know I've had nothing to do but watch and plan for the past 6 months? The children were enthralled. Professor Yix Yax was taking notes. I was having a nervous breakdown. Dave continued his impromptu lecture while systematically disabling security measures using nothing but the repurposed candy wrapper and paperclip. The secret is to look for patterns. Everything has a pattern if you watch long enough. For instance, did you know that the guard shift changes create a 3-minute window every rotation where the southeast corridor is completely unmonitored? "Fascinating," Professor Yix Yax exclaimed. "Children, observe the human's problem-solving capabilities. Note how they utilize simple tools to overcome complex obstacles." "Please stop encouraging him," I begged. But it was too late. Dave had already organized the children into what he called Operation Zoo Freedom, complete with code names and hand signals. Zoop Zoop was designated Snack Command. The worst part. He made it educational. And this, kids, is how we use basic leverage principles to override a Class 3 security door. Who can tell me what type of simple machine a lever is? 20 tentacles, appendages, and pseudopods shot into the air. End log. The addendum to whoever reviews this report, the quantum folded candy wrapper material, has now been added to the list of prohibited items in the human exhibit. Also, we need to completely redesign our security protocols. Again. Secondary addendum: Professor Yix Yax has submitted a request to make the human exhibit a permanent part of the advanced problem-solving curriculum. Please deny this immediately. Final addendum: has anyone seen my keycard? Entry log: galactic date 7249.4, code red, recording officer, security chief Vrax Vix, subject surveillance footage analysis. Priority alert: Junior Zookeeper Krix-Tix is currently unavailable due to unexpected mitosis. All 8 copies are in the break room drinking something called hot chocolate that the human apparently taught them to make. None of them will stop screaming. After reviewing the security footage from the past 6 months, we have discovered several disturbing patterns regarding specimen H789 Dave. 1. The midnight sessions footage reveals Dave has been conducting what he calls office hours through his habitat's ventilation system. Multiple specimens from other exhibits have been attending these sessions, including the quantum serpents, who now understand string theory; 3 void walkers showing unprecedented tool use; a colony of psychic moss now solving complex equations. 2. The trading network evidence suggests Dave established an inter-exhibit economy using leftover food items as currency. The crystalline hive mind from Sector D has been trading mathematical proofs for pudding cups. The resulting theories have crashed our quantum computers. Twice. 3. The support group every Thursday at 03000 hours. Dave hosts what he calls captive species anonymous key quotes from these sessions. "Hi, I'm Dave, and I've been captive for 6 months. Hi, Dave. Today we're going to talk about leveraging your environmental constraints for personal growth. Also, I've drawn up some escape plans. Jennifer from accounting helped with the spreadsheets." Note, we do not have any specimen named Jennifer, nor do we have an accounting department. Yet somehow there are spreadsheets. 4. The cultural exchange Dave has been teaching Earth concepts to other specimens. The hive mind beetles have formed a jazz band. The plasma entities are attempting comedy routines. The temporal parasites have discovered procrastination and are now chronically late to their own temporal shifts. 5. Most concerning development security footage from last week shows Dave explaining to the quantum serpents why the glass around their exhibit isn't actually there, but rather a collection of atoms with large spaces between them. 3 serpents have since phase shifted through their enclosures, citing quantum tunneling for beginners as their method. Immediate action items. 1. Revoke Dave's non-existent but somehow valid employee access. 2. Figure out how he got employee access in the first place. 3. Investigate why the computer system lists him as head of innovation. 4. Determine how he scheduled and received approval for team building exercises. 5. Find out who approved his request for casual Fridays. Update: while compiling this report, Dave has apparently filed for union recognition on behalf of all exhibit specimens. The paperwork is flawless. Legal is having a meltdown. Urgent notice: the Void Walkers are now demanding better healthcare coverage and a 401,000 plan. We don't even know what a 401,000 is, but they're very insistent about it. Secondary update: Professor Yix-Yax's paper has been fast-tracked for publication. 3 universities have already offered Dave visiting professor positions. How are they contacting him? Final note: the temporal parasites would like to register a complaint about mandatory overtime they're threatening to unionize across multiple timelines. Emergency addendum: we've just discovered Dave has been running something called management training seminars for the hive mind species. They're now demanding corner offices with a view of the nebula. Warning: the psychic moss has appointed itself as the union's legal representation. It's citing galactic labor laws that won't be written for another 300 years. End report. Personal note: I'm seriously considering early retirement. My predecessor tried to warn us. We didn't listen. Entry log: galactic date 7249.5. Recording officer: all 8 Krix-Tixes. Subject: Galactic Heritage Day Incident Report. We are submitting this report collectively because none of us want to take sole responsibility for what happened. Also, we found we work better as a committee. The annual Galactic Heritage Day celebration began normally enough. The zoo was packed with dignitaries, including the Grand Chancellor and the entire Galactic Cultural Preservation Board. The day's schedule included the traditional parade of planets and the Harmonious Species Showcase. Everything went wrong during Director Plax's opening speech about security excellence and containment protocols. In retrospect, this was probably intentional timing on Dave's part. Timeline of events. 9. Director begins speech about the zoo's perfect safety record. 9:01 The quantum serpents phase shift through their enclosure, citing workers' rights. 9:02 The Void Walkers organize a choreographed dance number to something called Jailhouse Rock. 9:03 The Psychic Moss presents a 500-page legal document to the Board of Directors. 9:04 Director faints. Dave appeared on every view screen in the facility, somehow broadcasting from what he called his mobile command center, still just a maintenance cart. He was wearing a tie. We don't know where he got a tie. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all dimensional phases, he began, welcome to Operation New Management. That's when we noticed all the name badges in the facility had been changed. Every single employee was now listed as assistant to Dave from accounting. The hive mind beetles began their jazz performance, which served as background music for what Dave called Phase 2, the Great Liberation. It was disturbingly well choreographed. The temporal parasites had apparently been practicing their timing. 12 exhibits initiated breakout sequences simultaneously across multiple time zones. The security system tried to respond, but was too busy processing union grievance forms. The crystalline hive mind presented a PowerPoint presentation titled "Why the Current Management Structure is Suboptimal, a Mathematical Proof." It included pie charts. The Grand Chancellor appeared deeply impressed. We, the Krix-Tixes, were faced with a choice: follow protocols and trigger the facility-wide containment field, or acknowledge that Dave had actually improved literally everything he'd touched in the facility. Evidence for following protocol. It's protocol. Job security. Prevention of total chaos. Evidence against. The Void Walkers now have better organizational skills than most of our management team. The quantum serpents have revolutionized our understanding of physics. The psychic moss's legal arguments are surprisingly compelling. Employee satisfaction is up 500%. The cafeteria food has improved dramatically since Dave reorganized the kitchen. The jazz is actually really good. Before we could decide, Dave unveiled his masterstroke. He had organized an impromptu cultural exchange fair in the main atrium. Every species was teaching their unique skills to visitors. The plasma entities were doing stand-up comedy. The hive mind beetles were offering jazz workshops. The temporal parasites were teaching time management courses, ironically still running behind schedule. The Grand Chancellor was participating in a quantum physics lesson with the serpents. 3 board members were learning void walking techniques. Someone had set up a coffee bar. Dave appeared next to us, somehow having acquired a clipboard and an event coordinator badge. "You know," he said, casually checking something off his list, "sometimes the best way to maintain order is to let people figure out how to order themselves." But the protocols we protested in 8-part harmony. "Quick question," Dave responded. "Has anyone actually escaped?" We looked around. Despite all exhibits being technically broken out, every species was enthusiastically participating in their self-assigned educational roles. The visitors were having the time of their lives. The Grand Chancellor was doing quantum equations. Sometimes, Dave continued, containment isn't about walls. It's about giving people something worth staying for. Also, I've organized a potluck for next week. The crystalline hive mind is bringing their famous quantum casserole. End report. End report. Addendum: we have collectively decided to accept our new position as Assistant Activities Coordinators, all 8 of them. Secondary addendum: the Galactic Cultural Preservation Board has reclassified the facility from zoo to Interactive Cultural Exchange and Education Center. Final addendum: Dave still won't tell us where he got the tie. Entry log: galactic date 7249.6, recording officer, Emergency Committee for Zoological Crisis Management, subject final assessment and resolution. Committee members present. Director Plix recently recovered from fainting. All 8 Krix-Tix is now functioning as a highly efficient administrative unit. Security Chief Fraxvix 2 weeks from retirement. Dave from Accounting, Acting Cultural Innovation Officer. 3 Quantum Serpents Physics Advisory Board. 1 Psychic Moss Legal Counsel. Professor Yix Yaks Educational Consultant. A very confused insurance adjuster. Key findings. 1. On the classification of humans as extremely dangerous, previous assessment: humans are dangerous due to their physical capabilities and aggressive tendencies. Updated assessment: humans are dangerous because they can't see a system without trying to improve it, can't meet a stranger without trying to help them, and can't encounter a rule without questioning its efficiency. 2. Facility status: all specimens are technically free, but choose to remain. Educational programs are oversubscribed. Gift shop revenue up 3,000%. Dave introduced something called souvenir t-shirts. Employee satisfaction at record highs. Visitor numbers have quadrupled. The jazz band has a galactic recording contract. 3. Unexpected benefits. The Void Walkers team building seminars are now the most sought-after corporate training in the galaxy. The temporal parasites have revolutionized project management when they show up. The hive mind beetles' jazz fusion album Metamorphosis in B-flat has topped the charts. The crystalline hive mind's quantum physics tutorials have solved 3 millennium problems. The cafeteria's rating has gone from avoid at all costs to worth crossing the galaxy for. Resolution measures. 1. Facility reclassification: the extremely dangerous species zoo is hereby renamed the Galactic Institute for Interactive Cultural Exchange and Revolutionary Jazz, GICERJ. 2. Personnel changes. Dave is promoted to Cultural Exchange Director and Senior Innovation Officer. The Krix-Tix octuplets are appointed department heads of interspecies relations. All specimens are reclassified as resident faculty. The psychic moss is granted tenure. 3. Policy updates. All warning signs are to be replaced with "Please ask about our educational programs." The do not feed the humans policy is amended to please join our interspecies potluck quantum casserole highly recommended. Former containment protocols are now listed as suggested guidelines for personal growth. Epilogue 1 month later. Dave's office hours are now broadcast across the galaxy. His seminar, How to Improve Any System Using Only Office Supplies and Basic Physics, has a 2-year waiting list. The facility hosts weekly cultural exchange potlucks where species share their traditional foods, customs, and quantum mechanics theories. The Void Walkers have discovered a passion for baking. Professor Yax's paper, The Dave Protocol Revolutionary Approaches to Interspecies Education, has become required reading at all major universities. The insurance adjuster is still confused but has started taking jazz lessons. Final note from the 8 Krix-Tix is we've learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing about a species isn't their ability to break out of systems, but their compulsion to break into them and redecorate. Humans don't just think outside the box, they redesign the box, add windows, implement a sustainable energy system, and turn it into a community center. End report. End report. EPS. Dave still won't reveal where he keeps getting the ties. We've started a betting pool. EPPS. The temporal parasites would like to retroactively approve this report once they finally make it to the meeting.